Lopes fans, welcome in. My name is Brennan Williams, and this is Go Lopes Radio. We have a late night recap for you, special edition. It's going to be a quick one, but I think I had to, get some thoughts out after watching GCU take on Utah. Listen, and I think got to talk a little bit about, we saw Iowa play Ole Miss. GCU obviously will take on Iowa, but lots of thoughts after watching a really good night of college basketball at the Acrisure Series. GCU wins by a score of 68-58 over Utah. They pretty much controlled the game essentially the whole second half. Now, listen, did they maybe play great basketball the second half? No, but they controlled the game. Even when they struggled a little bit offensively, Utah was never really able to cut into that lead and really threaten the Lopes there in the second half. So, again, it was just a good old-fashioned slugfest. You don't see them a lot anymore in college basketball, but it was ugly at times. I think it was 6 minutes the Lopes went without a field goal in the second half. And like I said, I don't think Utah even in that 6 minutes was able to cut into the lead any more than 3 points. GCU got to the free throw line once or twice. Utah had nothing offensively all night. Part of that was due to the Lopes. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but Utah just did not have anything going and never got any momentum or any flow on the offensive end. So all around, guys, a great win for the Lopes. I thought this was a really massive statement. Again, I don't think Utah's going to end up being very good. Could be a long Big 12 season for them, but this team, this Lopes team really needed this win. I hate to kind of be over dramatic there, but I think this is one that could catapult them into the rest of the non-conference without a doubt. They needed this one really, really bad. They were led by Jaden Henley. He had 18 points. Nana chipped in with 9 and 9, and then FA added 12 and 5 off the bench. We're going to talk about him a little bit as well. So stay tuned for that. But all around, really, I think an important win for this GCU team. They were potentially staring at 4 and 5, I believe, in the non-conference, potentially after Oklahoma State. Tough game tomorrow, I guess tonight. If you watched 4 days in October, the Red Sox famously said, "We'll see you tonight." We're gonna see Iowa later tonight, guys, and it's gonna be a really, really good basketball game, but one the Lopes really needed because, like I said, they have a few tough games coming ahead of them here, and I think this is one that could catapult them forward. And that's the hope, right? Some of these things start to click. I think we saw some of that tonight. So let's get into it, guys. We're going to go with something we did last year. Last year we did the liked and didn't like to kind of go through some of these items that we saw throughout the game. I think it's just a really good kind of straight up way to look at some of these things. So let's go ahead and just get right into it with our first thing we didn't like. We're only going to have one thing that we didn't like from this game, and then we're going to have 3 things we did like. Now, again, we're going to go through this first thing here and just stick with me here. Stick with me. We're going to dive right into this, and we're going to be super honest on some things we saw that we didn't like. But we're going to get to some of the things we really did like. So just don't stop the podcast here and be like, why is this guy such a negative Nancy? There's going to be some really good things to get to after we talk about this one thing. Okay, guys, let's get into the one thing we didn't like. And this is not going to shock anybody. We have got to talk about the offense. I hate doing it. Again, massive win, big kind of moment potentially here in the season for this group moving forward. I mentioned earlier this season, they've got to make some threes. The 3-point differential is going to be big. Baylor, that's the reason they lost the game flat out. Obviously, you can go back to Youngstown, St. Louis, the games where they haven't played well, and they've done a bad job defending the 3, and then they just have not been able to make threes. They have some guys that have had some good looks, but just have not been shooting the ball well. They had some guys maybe who shouldn't be taking as many that have been. And guys, they didn't make any threes tonight. Truly an incredible moment. I guess in modern college basketball to beat a Power 4 opponent. Again, we'll see where Utah checks out at the end of the season, but maybe not that great of a Power 4 opponent, but they beat them. They handled business, and they did it without making a 3, which is incredible. They grinded this thing down. They did what they had to do to win. We're going to get into some of the positive stuff on that, but Listen, we got to be honest. If you watched any of that Ole Miss Iowa game, it felt like a completely different sport than what we watched in that GCU Utah game. Not even like remotely close. It was a slow start to that Ole Miss Utah game, without a doubt. Once things picked up there, though, the speed, the playmaking, the optionality, man, it was just a bunch of dynamic playmakers with the ball in their hands, and they were finding open guys. They were making shots on both ends of the floor. Iowa and Ole Miss. And what the Lopes did tonight on offense is not going to cut it tomorrow night, just flat out. And it's not going to cut it moving forward. Like that effort's not going to be good enough. I get the old school. I mentioned this earlier. The old school hard hat, lunch pail, kind of tough guy, sort of basketball mindset. I think it's like you've got to have an effort or a baseline defensively, right? I don't know. It just is a cliche. You do have to have it. So I'm not saying it doesn't matter. But if we want to just be that team that's going to grind things down, I mean, come on, guys. It's 2025. College basketball scoring's up. You've got to be dynamic. You've got to have dynamic players with the ball in their hands. You have to have guys that can make 3-point shots. Miss me with this kind of, we're going to just be tougher. You've got to make some shots. You've got to make some plays. You've got to get some easy scores in transition. The Lopes didn't do that tonight against Utah. They still win the game. They control the game. I thought the way, we're going to get into some of the positive stuff, but how they were physically against Utah was a great sign. We've seen some guys step up. Again, some really good things, but the offense has got to get easier. It cannot be this hard to score, baskets throughout this whole season for this group, because they just will not win games like they were able to tonight. They won't be able to do that at scale at all. It just won't happen. I get it. I love the effort from this group. We're going to get into it, but you can show up with your hard hat and your lunch pail, but guys, it's 2025. You've got to make some threes. You've got to have some dynamic guys who can make plays, create, 2-on-1s, or 1-on-2s. And then, you can create 4-on-3s after that, after you're able to get by a guy. So they've got to figure out a way to get some easier baskets, whether that's transition, some better looks in the half court, but we'll see how that goes tomorrow night against Iowa, but just something I think we have to call out. In that 6-minute drought, you can't do that and win a basketball game. You just can't against a really good team where this team wants to go, this program wants to go. If you're going to go 6 minutes without scoring against a Utah team that, again, we talked about, it might not be super great. You just can't do that. It's not going to work. You've just got to be able to score the ball and be more dynamic offensively. So we'll keep an eye on that. It's as simple as maybe some guys just making some shots, and like we've said, just kind of depressurizing the offense. They needed that so often. Just guys who can make a play, make a shot, and just, everyone can relax a little bit. So we'll see how that works out. I thought some guys stepped up. So, maybe some signs of things to come. But what did we like, guys? Let's turn the page. Enough with the negative Nancy stuff. Come on, Brennan. We're sick of that. Let's get to some of the things we love tonight. First is the start to both halves. I tweeted this out. The start to the first half was great. The start of the game. I thought the Lopes came out firing, ready to go, a ton of energy, and they looked like a team that needed this win. And, like I said, they did, and they got the job done. They came out with that effort. Utah was lingering, without a doubt, right? You go into the half, and I believe, I'll check right now, they just use up 5 to start the second half. And, there's definitely a case to be made. Like, Utah saw some threes go in. GCU hasn't made some threes. What if Utah just spontaneously makes a few threes? GCU came out and made such a massive statement, energy-wise, effort-wise, at the start of that second half. I thought that was such an incredible moment for this group. I loved the bench energy. This group, 1 through however many guys played tonight. I mean, a ton of guys played tonight. Everybody that touched the floor had an incredible level of effort and execution. And they started out the second half and did not let Utah. They did not give them any opportunity to get back into this game. Yes, it was at 5, but I thought GCU just did such a great job continuing to control the game, not letting it get away from them, even when they weren't playing their best ball offensively. I thought the effort they showed in that first half, and then more importantly in that second half to continue it, that is really, really big time stuff. Credit to Bryce and the staff, credit to the players. And I thought that was really big. And again, we can't say it enough. They weren't even playing their best ball. They were able to come out and control that whole second half. So massive credit to just the energy, the effort, and the execution there to the Lopes at the start of both halves. And then, guys, second point here. We've got two left. We got to talk about FA. I guess, he had that few minute stretch against IPFW. I don't want to say it was kind of throwaway, kind of towards the end of the game. They did need it, but this felt a little bit different. This felt like him really getting settled. He finished those alley-oops in the second half. I thought all around was a really incredible effort from him. And, I still thought he left something out there too, right? He missed a few dunks and, he had the ball around the basket and maybe, again, still had a few moments where he wasn't super confident, comfortable. He had the technical foul. We mentioned that in his commitment impact video. I set that in the message board. We talked about how much he loves hanging on the rim, but you'll take it, right, when he finishes and he dunks it. But potential signs from FA, a guy who needs to kind of continue to raise his confidence. We said his growth was not going to be linear. It was not going to be like a straight, just getting better every game. It's going to be ebbs and flows. He's going to take massive steps forward. There's going to be games where it clicks. He feels it. It's great. And he's going to look incredible. And maybe there's going to be some games where he might take a little bit of a step back after he takes a step forward. It's not going to be linear with him. It's going to take time. I thought tonight was a really good sign of what he could be. A massive help when you can get the ball around the rim and when you can finish like he does with so much authority. Now, again, we can get some offense on the perimeter to maybe loosen some of the things up for him to finish at the rim. I thought Utah, they were kind of packing it in. That's why, some dunks were missed. But I thought all in all, a incredible effort from FA, something to monitor moving forward. Again, he comes off the bench, but it doesn't really matter if he starts or, comes off the bench. Can he give you just 15 to 18 minutes a night of being an incredibly kind of dynamic big guy that could run the floor, that can finish? And I thought we saw that tonight. And, tomorrow against Iowa, another kind of legit power four opponent where he can try to figure out, what do we got in FA? I thought tonight was an incredible effort from him. So massive shout out to FA. He was called out by Bryce multiple times, without a doubt, directly, indirectly, in the press conferences, in interviews, whatever it might be. And I thought he played awesome tonight. Last thing here, guys, our last kind of thing I did like was the execution. I think we were kind of a little exhausted hearing about the execution against Youngstown State and against St. Louis, the toughness, whatever that might be. At the end of the day, right, they didn't show up. They didn't execute. They looked shocked and surprised in both games, and both of those losses was really disheartening to be so shocked by a team that it was so evident what both of them wanted to do and to not execute on that at all. Again, I just think you kind of leave that game like, what the heck, man? That, like, Youngstown, they clearly want to just shoot a bunch of threes. St. Louis, they have such specific personnel, and GCU was not ready for it. Tonight was, I don't want to call it a masterclass, pretty close to it. They made life so hard for Terrence Brown. That's a guy, guys, who's averaged, I think, 25, 26 points a game this season. We covered it a little bit, with our podcast with the Run and Hoops podcast over who covers Utah. We put some notes after, I watched some more film on him and put some notes in the Discord, and he's really good. What happened tonight was because of GCU. He did miss a few open shots. One thing, Blake said this in the St. Louis game, when you let guys get comfortable, those shots that are easy, they become even easier. And if you make guys uncomfortable, those easy shots become just a little bit harder. They've got a little something in the back of their head, like, man, do I need to pass, or I'm not making my shots tonight. I think that matters. The Lopes made life really hard for him. He had that early three, and it was like, oh boy, come on, we cannot leave him. After that, they were so incredibly disciplined. Brian Moore Jr., Makai Williams, superb effort. All credit to those guys. And with a guy like Brown, it's all five as well. It's not just Makai and Brian Moore Jr. who were harassing him all night, played incredible. Henley involved a little bit there as well. But all five guys, when they were on the court, were ready to handle him. And I thought they were prepared and they executed. And I just want to make sure we give credit to them, because that is mastering the scout. Bryce said the second he got out of the press conference from the last game against Northwestern State, he was heading up and they were going into detail on everything about Utah. And I'm guessing a lot of that was about Terrence Brown. they looked ready. They executed. Credit to the staff, credit to the guys, and a really good effort all around there. So yeah, guys, those are the things we didn't like. Listen, the thing we didn't like was GCU, needing to improve the offense a little bit. No shocker there. They don't make a three. The offense was hard to come by. The game was grinded down. I get it. Maybe that's the way they wanted to play it, but they've got to just be better offensively. And that's not just tonight. That's from this season. They've got to make some threes. They've got to depressurize in the half court. It is just so tense when they have the ball in the half court. It's so tough to score. But we loved seeing the start to the halves for the things we did like first and second half. We love seeing FA come out and give an incredible effort. And then the execution on the game plan and the scout was awesome and much needed. An incredible effort by the Lopes to get the job done 68-58 against Utah. Guys, here's the thing. We could celebrate. It's late here while I'm recording this. We're going to get this up tonight, so it's up for you guys if you're still up, and it'll be ready for you in the morning. But guys, no rest for the weary, because they take on Iowa, who might have one of the best players in college basketball. Bennett Sturts, a former D2 legend, transfers and isn't just great in the Missouri Valley Conference, now comes to the Big Ten. And I mean, he was incredible against Ole Miss, guys. If you watched any of that game, this is seriously one of the best players in college basketball. He's going to control the game. Everything's going to be on his terms. It will not, GCU, they're going to hopefully try to do some stuff. We'll see what they come out and try to do, but the game is going to be ran on his terms on both sides of the floor. That's how good he is. Really, really dynamic point guard. He's bigger than you think, 6'4". He's stronger than you think. He can get his shot off. Really, really incredible. He's going to get other guys involved, get them wide open shots. Iowa had a bunch of wide open threes, I thought, in that game against Ole Miss, and they looked really good. So GCU, they get a chance, a revenge game against Iowa from the 2021 NCAA tournament, when Iowa, pretty comfortably handled them in that NCAA tournament game. But GCU gets a chance to revenge on that. And really, again, guys, start to build this non-conference resume. An opportunity tomorrow night in, I guess, what you'd call maybe the championship game, the winner's game in the Acrisure series, as they take on the Iowa Hawkeyes at 6 p.m. local, 7 p.m. Arizona time on CBS Sports Network. Make sure you guys tune in. This might be the best team GCU faces all season in the Iowa Hawkeyes. Make sure you guys are tuned in, because a massive opportunity awaits the Lopes tonight. As I actually think it was Joe Buck. I don't think the Red Sox said it. I think Joe Buck said, "We'll see you later tonight after the David Ortiz home run." That's it. And like Joe Buck said, guys, we will see you later tonight as the Lopes take on the Hawkeyes for the championship of the Acrisure series. Cheers.